Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. So this is part 1 video of this series Redux Toolkit. Okay, so in this video we are going to implement a ReactJS CRUD example sample using state management with the help of Redux Toolkit. Redux Toolkit is a library that built on top of the Redux. Okay, so it is a state management library. It mainly consists of key components like store, reducer, action, component, selector, and optionally Redux and middleware. Okay, so you can see this diagram. This represents our Redux tool state management. Okay, so here this store will store all the data. Okay, as a center unit, and from that center unit, our application can consume the data. Means any component in our application, if required a particular size of data that was stored in the store, can be easily accessed and consistently maintained between the components. Okay, that is the use of state management. Okay, so here let's understand each of these key things and their responsibilities. Okay, here store is a object that stores our data. Either it is normal static data or a API response data. We are going to save it under the store object. Okay. So how we can store the data into the store? To do that, we can use the reducers. Okay. Reducers are pure functions which they create, which invokes per action and updates the state by generating the new state. Instead of changing the existing state, they will generate a new state and push the state into the store. Okay, that's about the reducers. And actions. Actions are nothing but the events that triggers. Okay, based on that action, reducer gets executes its functionality. Okay, so selectors are nothing but uh, props to retrieve the data from the either a slice of data from the store into the component. Okay, and the Redux chunk are middleware functions which will executed before the action method gets executes. Okay, so in this Redux chunk middleware we can write the API calls. Okay, let's understand flow now. Suppose there is a component. Okay, and I want to invoke a API call and I want to store the data into the store. Okay, response data, API response data. So component, what it will do, it will trigger some action. Okay, so I want this action, like I want, for example API.com, I want to fetch. So whenever this action invoked, okay, if we implemented Redux chunk middleware, before the executing of the action method, Redux chunk middleware, what it will do, it will execute the API call logic. Once the response is invoked, once the response is received, or once the Redux chunk is executed, it will dynamically uh, listens listens for three kind of actions. One is pending action, one is fulfilled action, one is rejected action. So whenever the request is still pending, means response is not at received, but API call is invoked. At that time, Redux chunk invoke action called pending action. Okay, so we can write whatever logic to update into our store. Okay, like uh, we can store a variable like loading, okay, in the store, and we can assign like pending value for that. Okay, and another action is fulfilled. That means API is successful and response we got. At that time, this action method executed. So in this, we can write a logic for updating our store with our response API data. And another thing is rejected. So this will be to handle the any API errors occurs. Okay. Once that action, if the action is fulfilled, if the API response is fulfilled, we will write a logic to update the action. So reducer will update the store without data. Okay, and our store will contain our API response. Now, in the same component, we will write selector for fetching the slice of data. Okay, so selectors, what it will do, whatever slice of data or full data if you want, we can write a selector. Based on that selector, we can read the data from the store to any component in our application. So that is the basic flow of the React Redux tool. Okay. Now let's create a sample application and implement CRUD operations with the help of state management using the Redux Toolkit. Okay. So here is the command for generating the normal React.js application, that is npx space, okay, and React template name, that is create hyphen React hyphen app space name of your project. Okay, let's enter to create the project. Okay, our project created successfully. Let's open our project. Okay, here is our React application. Now let's install the React Bootstrap library. Okay, in this demo I am going to use the React Bootstrap UI React components. Okay, for that go to React Bootstrap and from the getting started, here is the command for installing the React Bootstrap as well as Bootstrap. Okay, so copy this command, open the terminal. Okay, install the library. Okay, React Bootstrap installed successfully, and now go to the index.js file. Here let me import the Bootstrap CSS file reference. Okay, so dist css bootstrap.min.css, and here let's clean up some unimportant things. Let's remove this web vital reference and also here method calling, and also remove the React strict mode. Okay, so these are the changes I want to do in the index.js file. Now, first thing is I want to create a component. So that component defines my master template. Master template means we can have a shared uh, HTML content like a header and footer, like those things. So I will create a master template and I am going to name that component name as layout. Okay. For that, what I am going to do, I will create a folder structure like inside of src components. Okay, and it is a shared, right? My layout is a shared for every page, so I will create folder like shared. So inside of shared folder I will create a component like layout.js. Okay, so now let's define my component. So constant layout name of my component, okay, equal to arrow function, and it should return imaginary tags for now, and here export the component default and layout. Okay, now here I want to add the uh, React Bootstrap navbar component. For that, go to React Bootstrap website. Okay, here click on the components, and here you can see the navbar component. Okay, from here let me copy one of the navbar component. Okay, let me copy this navbar component and add it here. I want my menu full width of the page, so let me remove the container inside of it. Okay, I don't want any menu items, let's remove it. And my application name I will add here for navbar component, like I'm going to do some display the cars. Okay. Name it like cars. Okay, and then since we are using the React Bootstrap navbar, right, let's import the namespace as well. Okay, So import the namespace. So this is my menu and I want to display it on every page. Okay. And here I will create container outside. Okay. Container, bootstrap container. Okay. Namespace also imported. So I want to display all the pages like any home page, about page, privacy policy page, any kind of content I want to display inside of this container. So how we have to display the content inside of it? We can use props and open the expression props.children. So now what it will do means this layout element wherever used and inside of it we will render any page component. That component data will be rendered as a children that can be accessed through this props.children. Okay. So now since it is a master layout template, right? I want to configure it at app component since app component is our entry component. Okay, let me remove all the existing code here, add imaginary tags, and let's add the layout so that my layout will be shared to any page component. And I have mentioned, right, all the page component will be rendered inside of this container, right? For now, I don't have any page components, right? Simply, I will write a text. So this can read either HTML content or a text content or any expression it can render here. Okay. So for now, hi everyone. Okay. So this is my simple message. Okay. Now let's run and check whether we are able to see our menu and also the text message inside of it. Okay. So let me run my application. For that, let me open another console command. Okay. And command to run our application is npm start. See, we got nice black color menu bar and the content is not coming here. So, hi everyone, that message I am not able to see. It is not coming. Sorry, it is children. Some spelling error. Now it is coming, right? Okay. Next, I want to create a page level component. Okay. So this page level component is like a home component for me. And in that component, I am going to display all the collection of items from my API. Okay. So for that, inside of the src, let me create one more folder like pages. Okay. And I am going to name my page level component like all cars.js. Then name of our component all cars, arrow function. Okay. Returns imaginary tags for now. I am a all cars page component. Okay. And export the component. So export all cars. Okay. So this is my page component. And I have mentioned, right, it is my home component, right? So let configure the routing for my React.js application. Okay. For that, search like React DOM, React router DOM, npm. Okay. Click on the link. So npm install react-router-dom. So this is the library we need to require for configuring the routing. So copy that command, open terminal and install the library. So React Router DOM library successfully installed. To confirm it, you can check in package.json file and look for the reference of it. Okay, here is the React Router DOM, which is the version 6. Okay, now I am good to configure the React router since app.js is the entry file, right? And here is the parent or page level content I am rendering, right? Because it is going to layout and it will render here. That means I am going to configure the routing inside of the layout component. For that, I can use routes component that loads from the React route. Okay. Inside of routes component, we can configure the child route component. Okay. So route that also loads from the React component. So for the route, we can configure the attribute like path. Since I am specifying it is my home page, right? Simply slash. That means it is a home page component. And to that, we can define a attribute like element, and to that element expression we have to pass our component. That means for this path, load this element we are specifying for the route. Okay, so what is my page level component? All cars. Okay, and I can use self closing tag to make it short. Okay, so I have configured the home page routing, and since here we are using the routes, right? So in the index.js where our app component is loading, it should be wrapped around the browser router. Okay, that also loads from the React router DOM so that it can inject the routing configurations into our application. Okay, now let's try and reload. For home page, we should see this message now. I am a cars page component. Okay, see, it is automatically refreshed and it is showing I am all cars page component. That means our home page component is successfully configured with our route. Okay. Now let's install the Redux Toolkit packages. Okay. For that you can search like Redux Toolkit. Okay. And click on the first link and go to get started. So in this get started, it will show you the command to create with the Redux inbuilt as a template, but our project is already created, right, without Redux. So for that, what we can do in the tutorial section, go to quick start, and here is the command npm install @redux.js/toolkit and redux react-redux means here we are installing Redux and the React toolkit because Redux toolkit is dependent on the React Redux. Okay, so copy this command and install the Redux.js toolkit and React Redux as well. Okay, packages successfully installed. To confirm it, go to package.json file, and here is the Redux.js toolkit, which is 1.8.5, the latest version, and also React Redux, that is 8th version. Okay, so Redux toolkit, nothing but to reduce the boilerplate code for written in React Redux. It was came into the picture. Okay, in React Redux, we have to define very complex code and lot of boiler code and heavy code we have to write. That all heavy code is slimmed by using the Redux toolkit. Okay, so now we are going to create and configure the basic store. So for that, in the src, I am going to create a folder like features. Okay, so inside of features, I will have a root file like store.js. Okay, this is my root store file, and we will have individual folders for each feature. Means now I am working with cars, right? For that cars, I will going to create a one folder. If I am working with car service, I am going to create a one folder like that. If I am working with spare parts, I am going to create one more folder for that like that. Since I am here, I am working on cars, right? I am going to create a folder like cars, and inside of it I have to create the store file that related to the cars. To write the all logic related to store, there is one feature called create a slice. Okay, create a slice is nothing but a function or a container that holds initial state, reducers, actions, and selectors. Okay, for a particular feature, here my feature is cars, right? For this car feature, reducers, actions, selectors, okay, and initial state, everything will be hold inside of the cars and with very minimum code. Okay, so for that purpose, we will name a file like car slice.js. Okay, now I have to create the uh, slice, car slice. Okay, so constant car slice. Okay, so create slice. Okay, that load from the Redux.js toolkit. So this is a function and it holds initial state value, okay, name of the slice, actions, and reduction and selectors. Everything can be defined in this single file only with less number of code. Now, for store to maintain the data, we should have an object, right? And that object should have initial data, right? So I will create initial state like this is my initial store state. Okay. Ini initial state. Okay. Normal object. Okay. So in this initial state, I am going to store my API response of the cars data. Okay. So I will prepare a property like cars data and it should be a array. Initially empty array. Okay. And I want to create one more property like loading. So this loading property represents the uh, state of the API call, whether it is pending, completed, or rejected. So what is the use of this loading means if you want to display a spinner or if you want to disable a button once save is clicked at that time, we can consider the state of the our API call. Okay. So initially it is idle means no change in the API call. Okay. And now, so this is my initial state object. Okay. So now in the create slice, I can first define the name of the slice. I will name it like car, any name you can give. Okay. But you should give some name. Okay. And here, next thing is reducers. Okay. So here reducers contains properties of individual action methods. Okay. For now, I'm not creating any action methods. I'm just defining the skeleton for my car slice. Okay. And here we have to pass initial state as well. So it will take this initial state. Okay. And along with reducers, there is one more thing called extra reducers. Okay. So this extra reducer uh, is depend upon the async thunk middleware. For now, without using async thunk middleware also we can use the store. So my intention is I want to show the state management without async thunk and later I want to change the code to how it will look if you use the async thunk. At that time when we use async thunk, the action methods are going to be registered here. Okay. So this is the extra reducers. So this is the create slice object. And now for now I have to export the reducer from my create slice as a default. Okay. So export default and car slice dot reducer. Okay. So I'm exporting my reducer. So this is my car slice. Okay. And now I want to configure my store and I want to register my cars reducer. So for that, what I will do, constant, sorry, export constant store. Okay. And to configure a store, we can use configure store. Okay. And here inside of it, we can register the reducer. Okay. Since I have already exporting my car slice reducer, right? I want to register it here. So import car reducer, okay, from cars/car slice, okay. So let me name my car reducer like cars, okay, and register our car reducer, okay. So that's it. We have configured our car reducer with our store, okay. Now this store to need to be injected into our components at our application level. So for that, I can go to index.js to inject the store into our entire applications. We have to use a element like provider. Okay. So this provider loads from normal React Redux. Okay. And inside of this provider, let's copy all our content. Okay. So now this provider will have a attribute like store, and to this store we have to register our store we are exporting from our JS, this store. Okay. So for that what I can do, import store from, okay, futures/store. Okay, and I can pass the store. That means we are making our store available to every component inside of the application. That is why we are registering this provider as a root component, parent of every component. Okay, so that's about the initial configuration of our React Redux React Toolkit. Okay, to implement CRUD operation, we have to have a API call, right? So for that, I am going to set up a fake JSON API that supports create, update, read, and delete all CRUD operations. And it is very easy. As a UI developer, I am not concerned about any API logic. Okay. So for that, you can search like JSON server. Okay. And click on this NPM and go to this GitHub link. Okay. And first thing is you have to install JSON server globally into your system. For that you have to run this command anywhere by opening the command prompt. Okay, the command is like npm install -g, that means install globally JSON server. Okay, so that is the global installation. And now I want to run the JSON server. So to run the JSON server, there is a command. Let me show you the command. So this is the JSON server command. JSON server --watch db.json. So if you run this command, your JSON server will start running. Okay. But the problem is with this command, uh, by default JSON server runs under port number 3000. And our application also runs under port number 3000, React application. So no two application cannot run under same port in a local machine. Okay, so for that we have to define the port number explicitly. So for that we have another option to specify the port number explicitly. Okay, here is the command. Okay, here specifying the port number explicitly. Okay, so what I will do, I will copy this command. And since it is a demo purpose, right, I am going to set up the JSON server inside of my React.js application itself. So I will go to package.json and I will create a script like JSON server, that is the script name, and paste it over here. I want to run this at port number 4000. Okay. Okay. Now to run this server, open terminal and open one more terminal. Okay. And here run command like npm space run and command name json-server. Okay, so what it will do, it will going to run the JSON server and it will store a JSON db.json file where it contains JSON object, and that JSON object is returning as a API response. Okay, so if you observe here, there are some endpoints, right? So these are all defined based on the JSON uh, object that was stored in db.json. So whenever you first create the command, this is the db.json file get created, and this is the default objects, and each object will work as a one endpoint. You can check here. Here there is a console log, right? It will showing endpoints, okay? But I don't want this kind of data as my response. So I will create my own endpoint since I have already prepared some object to show my cars, okay? So copy that object and paste it over here. Okay, this is my endpoint. If you check, a new endpoint is created with my cars slash cars. How it is created means root property is taken as a path. Okay, now if I copy this command URL and if I paste it here and run, I can see the API is working, right? So that is how we can set up a local server. And not only get API, it support every HTTP request. Okay, if I go here, you can see the routes: get route, post route, put route, patch route, delete route. Every HTTP request route is supported. So now I have set up my API also, and I want to implement the read operation by using the Redux Toolkit state management. Okay, thank you so much for watching this video. I think this video has delivered some useful information to you all. If you think this video helps you, please share and subscribe to channel to support me. Soon we are going to meet with new content. Until then, signing off.